From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
Welcome back to another episode of Business Champions. I'm Steve Strum, here sitting with some people that I really love at the bar, some people I've known, some people I get to know. Number one, first and foremost, Major Harding.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great,
You
man.
know, these people might not know you. I know you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the Client Focus Media and a lot of the work that we've done together in the community for nonprofits and just the general growth of Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Well, so 40-year general contractor, sold my business. Mike White said, hey, come on over and hang out with me, be an affiliate with Client Focus Media. I know a lot of people in the community, so I've been able to bring in new clients and stuff. And the outreach that we do with the nonprofits, with the Foodies Care, with the other agencies, 501c3s that feed the homeless, feed the hungry. It's just been a great experience to be here and just to see the way this place blossoms.
You know, it's been fun working with you over these past years, and I appreciate you answering the call most of the time. All right, a gentleman who's been here before, but you got a new story to tell. Jerrian, yeah? Tell me about it, man. So, performance sports,
Yes.
making a bigger, better, badder guy on the block.
Yes, sir.
And you have some cool news of a new facility. Talk to us a little bit about your business. Some of these people may not remember you from the show. Tell us who you are, what you do, and give us some news about what you're doing.
So my name is Jerrian Sanders. The first time I came here, we were under the name Sanders Elite Training Performance, but since then we've rebranded to B3 Better Sports Performance. So for the people who don't know, we are a sports science-based facility who is data-driven. So when we bring our athletes in, we take them through a series of testing where we test their neuromuscular ability, their leg power, their strength, a whole bunch of different gadgets that we have. Once we finish testing them, they get a 20-page report. We build it out based off of what their needs are. And from there, we build the athlete based off their anatomical and physiological makeup.
But it's a little bit more than standing on a scale saying, Steve, you're a little right foot heavy.
Right.
Which I can tell you that because whenever I have to get my shoes resoled, I can always tell when it's time to do it because the right foot wears out before the left foot.
There you go.
What does that mean for a young, aspiring man or woman in sports? Like, what is it that you're doing that is different than just go run up and down the field until you throw up?
So we're gathering data on the athlete, right?
Okay.
So again, we test their nervous system. We put them on this machine. We actually have a computer called the 1080 Sprint that has a wire that we attach to the athlete. The athlete runs for a prescribed distance. Once they finish running, we get all this data back, how much power they're producing with each step, how much force, at what point are they slowing down. We just get a bunch of data, and from that data, we're able to put together a sprint profile very specific to what the athlete needs. So that's just from the sprinting side. We do the same thing for jumping. We see how high they jump, how quick they jump, how long do they spend time on the ground, and from there, we're able to put together a profile that's going to be very specific to what their needs are. So we're very data-driven, and it's all specific to the individual's makeup.
Major, we're living in the future, man.
I'm telling
Like,
you.
you know, they wire me up and be like, man, this guy's knees are shot. They're like, yeah, well, I played semi-professional soccer for a long, long time. And I remember back in the day, the evolution of these things, clearly not what they are today.
Right.
You can literally wire somebody up and go down to just the very specific of a tweak here, tweak there. It's not, hey, let me fix your swing. You're talking about using data and technology to make a better athlete that then can go to college ball, professional ball, whatever that ends up looking like for them.
Exactly.
Using technology.
Using
And
technology.
since we got technology on the horn, we got the new guy, Ken.
Okay.
Hey,
Welcome
pleasure.
to the show.
Thank
All right,
you, sir.
so if that's not a tee up, my friend, you know, when we talk about technology
You gotta love
and
AI in the
sports,
sports world.
so you're doing a lot of stuff in AI. You're doing a lot of stuff in quantum computing. All right, so I've got a family genius who would probably be able to just sit right here and swap spit with you all day long as far as the technology. Can you give it to us what you do so people that are watching this go, wow, that's really cool, and not just some future Star Wars thing? Tell us a
Sure.
little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I own Kai-Mation. I'm the CEO of Kai-Mation. We actually, the gambit of AI and quantum, we work together to build solutions for a lot of different companies. And that means whether their new journey starts off, that they want to look at AI and how it could progress in their company, or it could go to an educational avenue. We can work with educational institutions to figure out how to bring it into their academics. So we operate in 9 different industries, which is great. You know, I can go anywhere from a GSA contracting world to an educational classroom. And those are things that we look at to help kind of broaden, the AI philosophy as well as quantum. So quantum is kind of the tip of the spear today.
And one of my kids is actually in one of the academies that you are participating with here in Jacksonville, St. Johns County. Today's all about the future of stuff, right? And we've had some very interesting interviews. It's very curious that we have two people literally looking into that spyglass of what does the future look like, whether it's the future of sport, whether it's the future of AI. In your world, okay, one, for the audience, what is quantum computing? Because people understand it, they can spell it, but they're like, I don't know what that is.
So I got asked this question last week in the educational setting. I was down in Orlando for a conference for a bunch of university-led professionals in Penn and University of Florida, Florida State. I got asked this question like, Ken, how do you explain it? I said, well, I'll explain it like a 5-year-old. You look at the computing power of AI, and then you look at what runs quantum. It's called a qubit. You can take a supercomputer with AI, which involves a lot of energy. You can take quantum that involves a lot of energy, but it does more computations, and it can deliver an equation in up to 12 to 13 decimal points. Whereas you look at AI, and you can look at it at 2 decimal places. So the computational power is still going down that avenue that we will broaden and be able to use it. It's also accuracy in metals. Like you could have accuracy, like the one example I gave last week was Elon's spaceship. If you could cut it down, like one of the fins down to a decimal place, he can be able to move that a certain trajectory where he couldn't do it before. So it creates a little bit more accuracy in what you're doing. We're at the level where the computation is now surpassing AI, and we're only going to see the benefit of that here in the near future.
So fascinating, new stuff, fascinating, changing almost daily, if not by the hour. We grew up in an era where things like the internet had become more prevalent. But the internet back in the olden days, if you will, my kids would refer to it as the 1900s, was really more your 28K modem, you're trying to download a certain picture.
AOL days.
The AOL, like,
Dial-up,
right? And it was like, could I download that picture of, the person that, the pinup girl, if you will, before my mom busted me at 28K. So it's like line by line. And it wasn't until, I think 5G came out, where really, people like, okay, you've got this computer thing. My undergrad degree is electronic commerce. People didn't even understand what that is. When I was going to college, I didn't even understand what it was. I was like, well, I got all these credits and I don't want to be a programmer. So, okay, that's a good degree. Let's do that one. But it wasn't until something like a 5G that came around to where a computer plus the speed plus the ability was allowing you to go on your app, order a thing, and then it shows up possibly today, possibly tomorrow. As you're seeing the evolution of quantum, the evolution of AI, and all this stuff, what is that thing that really is going to give people the opportunity to truly appreciate the revolutionary? We are in an industrial revolution right now.
I think you answered the question wholeheartedly. It's when it lands in the consumer side of the world. You just referenced 26K, 56K is probably the next benefit. Then you went to a G market, and then 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G. So I think when quantum lands to a consumer market is when you'll see the explosion and the need for this type of technology. Right now we're living in the AI age. Although I've been in it for 20 years, so we're getting a lot of garbage information coming in about what AI can do. So I'm more in the business of cleaning that image up and having to clean up a lot of messes that people would kind of fumble their way into using the technology wrongly. So those are the types of things that we would look at. When it lands in the consumer market, that's when everyone will start talking about it.
And we're talking about not so much like when McDonald's can predict the exact time by which you need to buy a strawberry milkshake, which is there.
I bet their marketing group would love that.
All the way out to, I have an aneurysm where minutes matter, and as we are being life flighted to the hospital,
there you go.
They're sending that real-time data that's going to there's still a doctor involved, make sure that we're clearing the clot, but that AI data is feeding something almost live streaming where somebody previous to all of this technological revolution that might have taken minutes or hours, and that could have cost either life or significant brain damage. It's more than that. It's something that's above that. What do you see? So we love talking about the future, right? This is, we're living in the future. I mean, how do you wire somebody up to make sure they're the best athlete? Steve's knees are shot. I got a report to prove it. And I'm coming back to you about the future of sports because that is just fascinating, and it's going to dovetail onto your next answer. So my question is, 5 years out, whether it's the quantum computing, the AI stuff, as somebody who's been dealing with this, I mean, AI's been around for 20 years. The people in there go, well, I thought it was around here for about 20 minutes. What do you see the future of this? It is an industrial revolution. I mean, we had the original industrial revolution, then we had the advent of the assembly line, then we all lived through the advent of computers and the internet. Each one of those has been an industrial revolution. We are living in a fourth industrial revolution right now. What do you see 5 years looking like later, and what this does to the everyday consumer?
I mean, that's a great question. You're going to see an industrial complex on energy scale. I mean, we're already seeing it in states like Ohio, Florida's recent ban on some data center productions. You're seeing a lot of these pop up across the country in Iowa and California. You're going to see a lot of computational, data-driven, like you need your accuracy of your data. And that's very, very important for somebody who wants to be able to project what my earnings are going to be, what my new product's going to be laid out. You're going to see a grand scale of a lot of energy being built very rapidly. Micronuclear, that may make people kind of upset, but hey, we gotta keep up with that. So we're already seeing the infrastructure being put into play. And then of course the military industrial complex is growing rapidly using AI to date. So, and they're already looking at cold fusion. We've got grants going out in cold fusion, which is great because we're putting a lot of work into advancing what's beyond AI. So in 5 years, you're probably going to be talking about quantum. More so than anything, it's also going to start becoming a household conversation to your high schooler and middle school. Right now, as we look at the curriculum across all of K-12, it's being introduced at an elementary school level. So when you start seeing that progression with your children, then you're going to understand where it's going to come and where the next step's going to be.
I guess we're just going to, I'm not going to be surprised to see a Terminator walking around here, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Wait a minute, wasn't there one yesterday? So
maybe we're in the Matrix and we don't even know it. Man, I should have taken the blue pill, So let me ask you the question. For yourself, sir, you're in sports performance. We just had a nice little discussion about the future of things that are probably on your brain where you're differentiating yourself from lift heavy weights till you get bigger, run faster, jump taller, be higher than the other guy or girl. Like, what do you see as the future 5 years out in the sport industry? I mean, you think about all the things that can happen.
Right.
How does that stuff apply to you?
So right now we're actually using AI tools to do assessments, movement assessments. So we video them and the AI generates the angles that they're moving at, their landing mechanics, and we're able to put together, and then there's an algorithm that pretty much puts together their movement patterns, and from there we're able to look at the imbalances and we're able to tell exactly what type of strength program they need in order to balance their bodies out. So it's already, we're here.
That's
So
amazing.
it's fascinating, right? I mean, I'm sitting over here going, man, back in my day, it was rub some dirt on it, take a couple ibuprofen, and quit your bitching.
So back to Ken's point, I heard a story yesterday. A big AI company, quantum company, trying to buy a farm in Pennsylvania, 200-acre farm, would have had a value of about $6,000 an acre, so million two. They offered them $26 million for the farm, and they said no.
What are they going to do with the farm?
They're going to build an industrial complex to run AI. They're going to build power plant, like you said, nuclear, cold fusion, don't know. But it's energy to run this next generation.
Because that's going to be the big thing. I mean, obviously, trying to keep current events to the side a little bit, and definitely not trying to dip into the political soapbox that we can get on. But it's energy, right?
It's energy, yeah.
Everything surrounds the energy market. You had mentioned something.
Well, to his point, 60% of the data comes out of the United States. We are predominantly the data-driven culture of the world. So that's a big piece of why we're kind of ramping up all that.
Well, and you had mentioned the nuclear stuff. And nuclear, people say, you think about the 3 Mile Islands and the Chernobyls of the world, but that was, 40 years ago. They're using nuclear salt reactors. I think I was reading about that too, where, the meltdown problem that we had is that if you have a water-based system and then there's a crack and then the water boils away, the meltdown occurs when the nuclear material then becomes, having a chain reaction. Now they're using salt, which when you superheat salt, essentially it becomes Jello. It doesn't boil away. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
You just got to contain it and put it somewhere where it's not going to contaminate anything.
That,
but yeah,
which is the concern. And so, but as we're dealing with this stuff, back to you. So you got some news. I'm going to lift harder. I'm going to jump higher. I'm going to have better movement, and Steve's knees are going to magically get better. Conversation. You have some news about a facility. You've had some success in the business since last we spoke.
Yeah, we've been in the
Talk
business.
about that, man.
Yeah, so we've been around since 2011.
Wow.
Just moved to a new building like 3 months ago, and
Congrats,
we're going to be having a grand opening here. We're actually partnering with a homeschool academy called A3 based out of Tampa. And so we're going to have a lot of batting cages and a lot of machines that's going to measure a lot of baseball metrics. So it's something exciting.
So this is, if you're talking, the people that you serve are the kids, also adults?
Pro athletes.
Pro athletes. So you go all. So we go all the way from the young men and women that are trying to become athletes, all the way up to a professional athlete.
Yes.
And what's that end result that you're given? And let's talk about the pros.
Right.
What is that doing? Longer careers, better, not getting hurt as bad. Like people probably sitting there going, technology, weights, and training and performance. Like what does that do as the outcome?
So for the scholastic athletes, it puts them in a better position to get scholarships. So we really only deal with the serious athletes. So we've had athletes start as young as 9 years old that we take all the way up until they become pros. Mac Jones is one of the kids we had ever since he was a little kid and went through our whole program. He's a professional athlete. Sean Wade. We have tons of athletes that start at 8 or 9 years old. And the first goal is to be able to get a college scholarship.
Yep.
They come back and work out with us during the off season, during the college breaks and things like that. And we help them prepare for the pro level. And then for the pros, it's about longevity and staying injury free and getting contract after contract. So for them, it's a lot of off-season training where we basically prepare them for their season and make sure, again, we're gathering all this data to give them what they won't get when they're with their teams.
Wow, that's fantastic, guy. Well, Major, as we take this thing and wrap it up, what final thought?
Man, a lot of great discussion today.
Yes, sir.
A lot of relevant discussion, and what you guys are doing is going to impact our future. So, and the kids' future. Our future with the AI and the quantum. It's just I'm old school.
Yeah.
So when I took off a set of drawings, I had a scale and I had to do it. Then they went to digitizing. So you would put the mouse here and you go there and it'll tell you how many feet of curb or how many square yards of asphalt. And now the plans basically they scan the plans and it gives you a complete takeoff. So everything is just changing. And you just got to ride the wave.
Well, and I think that as our closing argument for that, for the folks that are watching this, in the pro athlete space, you want to be serious. You're not the only game in town. You're not the only person training these people. There's other organizations that are doing it. So if you're a serious athlete, man or woman, wants to be seriously competitive for scholarships at the collegiate level and then opportunity to go to the pro level, the game's changed. The ante is up. If you're going to want to be serious, and if you're not the next, Shaquille O'Neal happens to be 7'2", well, that's like the average height these days of a basketball center. Right. So where Shaq was Shaq, now you got a whole bunch of other people that are taller than this guy.
Exactly.
I've seen a couple of pro ballers that you stand next to Shaquille O'Neal and he looks like me, and it's like, how tall are you, right? Like, geez, oh Pete. And then as we get going on here at the final thought, man, thank you so much for sharing some of that stuff. It's just interesting to see like how this is evolving. Maybe a time for another discussion is one of the things that has to come out of this is what is the responsible use of all of this information? Because, good guys doing it for the right reason. Unfortunately, on the flip of that coin, there's the bad guys that do this to take advantage. How do you curb that stuff? Like, what are you guys doing in the industry to make sure that the good guys stay doing it the good way and then limit some of the bad guys and some of the things that they would use this for ill-gotten gain?
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting question. I'm I get that quite a lot. I mean, especially when you're trying to educate folks about what AI can do as well as what quantum does. So one of the challenges I end up having is, there is a responsible AI component. So we're using it in the academies for our K through 12, teaching kids sooner than later. That is very, very important for us to help with the discipline of how to understand and use AI. I'm the 1 foot out guy, so I'm on your side of the. I've seen the 1 foot in people. There are a lot of them in this industry.
Right.
So there's those of us that are trying to keep it on the right side of the board while not damaging the innovation property of what we're looking for the technology. So you had mentioned healthcare, medical, saving people's lives. I think there's a lot of disciplines we could use it for the better good.
That's wonderful. And that may be a discussion for a whole nother segment. But for now, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming back. And Major, I love you, brother. You guys are great, but we can't do any of this without these guys watching. So what a cool episode. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Champs. If you like the episode, share the episode. We'll put all the stuff about the grand opening, the Terminator over here on our website, which is the dailiesnewsnetwork.com. If you like the episode, share the episode. But remember to always live with gratitude.